Am I the a-hole for telling the person I'm dating I don't have kids? Plus update. Original post. I, 28 male, recently got into a car accident. I'm fine. I wasn't at fault, but my car was a total loss. I'm happy about it though. Normally, I get a new car every year or so, but because of the loan I had to take on this one, I kept it for longer and was genuinely bored of it. My insurance paid me out for the wreck, and with savings and the insurance money, I dropped cash on a used Assign FRS. For those unaware, it's a little two-door stick-shift sports car. The problem starts with the girl I'm seeing, Jen, 24 female, and her son Zeke, 3. I was showing Jen the car, how much I liked it, and that it was a goal for a long time to buy a car of this caliber in cash. She got in, saw the back seats, and said, "Wow, you really can't fit anyone back there, even a kid." I said, "Yeah, but it's really just me driving it, so I don't need a big car. And I don't have kids, so I really didn't need to be sensible." She immediately got out of the car and asked if Zeke meant anything to me. I said Zeke was awesome. He's a great kid, but he's not mine. She asked if I was even ready for the responsibility of a kid, and I said Zeke is the only one I've spent this much time with, but I've only been dating her 4 months and have known him for 2, so I really hadn't thought of him as more than her kid. She said I was seriously immature and acting like a teenager with my stupid car and grow up. I haven't talked to her at all since that conversation, which was yesterday, but she's texted me a few times letting me know how she feels. Her brother also let me know I needed to man up and start taking things seriously. The most confusing part is she drives a Honda Pilot, a whole SUV. So if I need to shuttle Zeke around, I can use her car, and I'm never alone with him anyway. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Honestly, for a short time you all have been dating, you shouldn't have even met this kid yet, let alone be making long-term financial decisions with him in mind. I really didn't want to. I've been child-free by choice, but I really liked her, so I decided to give it a chance. She called me one night to change a tire. I showed up and a 3-year-old was staring at me. We clicked, as I have 43 cousins and a lot have kids, but it's just because he's a kid, and I would be a massive prick to be like, "Get the heck away, you little turd." You are child-free? Dude, run. I don't date parents anymore. This one wants a father for a kid. I have no problem with kids or even being a stepdad if that ever came around. I'm just not actively trying to have kids of my own. I say child-free because it's easier than explaining I've been surrounded by babies and young kids my entire life, and I'm perfectly fulfilled not having my own. But if a future paper has them/wants them, I have no issue fathering or caring for a child. No need to explain your reasons. This Looney Tune called you awful names to lecture you about adult choices. Laughable. Also, her brother can tell that baby daddy to man up, not a young kid she's known for 4 months. Bullet dodged, son. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Good choice in cars. Might not be the best choice in girlfriends. Now for the update. Because I want to just get it out there, lol. The accident happened 2 weeks ago. I bought a new car on Monday and this all happened Thursday night. After she blew up, I never replied to her texts that night. I was upset and wasn't in the headspace to calmly talk about what happened. So I smoked some weed, played GTA, and fell asleep. I worked today, Saturday, and wasn't able to check my phone. I work at a shop building high-performance cars on Saturdays, so I need all my focus going to clients that spend $20,000+ on these things. I came home and had a small conversation via text with her, where I then made this post. After, I told her over text I'm not selling the car, but in a few months I'll finance a truck since I need one to tow the boat. I promise I'm not rich, just professionally poor. I buy junk and fix it up. And she did not think this was an acceptable response. I left it alone again and went to my parents' house to hang out with them and relax. She called me, absolutely hammered drunk, and went on a 20-minute ramble about the choices I make in my life and how she expected me to be a better person. I don't want to get this post banned from the subreddit, so I'll just say I no longer have to worry about being Zeke's stepdad or what Jen thinks about my automotive situation. I really liked her, so it's kind of a bummer, but these comments and her phone call opened my eyes to a big pot of marinara flag she was cooking. That's really the only update I have. I really hoped it'd be more dramatic, lol. I went into this thinking Opie hid the fact that he had kids from his girlfriend or something. But yeah, I'm on his side for this. 4 months is incredibly short, and expecting him to basically adopt her kid after that is daft. It's not like he wasn't open to it, but this is the equivalent of demanding someone marry you basically. Meeting Zeke within the first 2 months of dating says a lot. Opie wants a relationship, Mom wants a family. She's already judging his actions through a "why aren't you thinking about our kid" lens. And even had her brother call him to man up. For Pete's sake, it isn't even his kid. That call should have been to the baby daddy. 4 months, and she wants him to be the daddy already? That's dodgy as hell. Glad he got out of there. I find it strange that he even met the kid after only 2 months. That's just a recipe for that child developing attachment/abandonment issues. I have single-parent friends who won't let a potential partner meet their kids for at least 6 months, and after a conversation that established boundaries and deciding to be fully committed. My mom took me on dates with her, and she let her dates try to parent me when I was an older kid, like 10 or 11. When I was younger, I never met anyone, and I would have preferred if she had continued that. She had odd taste in men. My mom took me on her first date with my stepdad. He was/is an amazing guy, and took on the role wholeheartedly. But it does bother me a little to think that he was more or less emotionally manipulated into being a dad. I guess in the end, it just makes me love him more. Now for the second story. Update. Am I the a-hole for revoking my wife's access to my car? Original post. I, 36 male, love my wife, 32 female. She is awesome and our relationship is solid, but she's a very different person than I am. I am, by nature, an organized and process-oriented person. I work as a project manager and my life is focused around structure, planning, deadlines, etc. My wife is the opposite. She's a creative type with a great career in advertising. Nothing about her life is organized. Everything is haphazard and somewhat chaotic. But this is what makes her good at her job. I understand and accept that and have done since I fell in love with her. We're different and that's a huge part of her awesomeness. She's cool and exciting and brought new things to my life. I love that. The issue. We both have cars. My car is newer and has better tech, but they're similar. But I keep my car clean and tidy all the time, while her car is a mess. Garbage, empty coffee cups, trash rolls around when driving, etc. She hates dealing with it, and because my car is nicer than hers, she prefers to use my car. 3 weeks ago, she's going to a friend's place up in the woods, 5 hours drive, for a girls' weekend. I'm going out for the weekend skiing, 3.5 hours. We're both leaving at the end of work Friday. At 4 p.m., my wife is done and she leaves. Love and kisses, etc. When I finish at 7:30 p.m., I'm antsy to get going, so I go to load my gear. But when I get outside, my car is gone, and hers is on the driveway. I thought, what the heck? Did she take my car? I call her and we have a fight because I'm angry. I have a ski rack on my roof, and the gear doesn't really fit in her car. But she's already 3 hours into her trip up north. I don't want to ruin her weekend by making a big deal about this, so I suck it up. There's no gas in her tank as usual, so I get gas. And as I leave the gas station, I get pulled over. I'm just freaking angry at this point. Cop asks for license and registration, which I'm already looking for and can't find. There's tons of papers and receipts, and all sorts of random things in the glove box and center console. I can't find it. Cop, I pulled you over because your license plate tags are expired. Me, this vehicle is registered to my wife's name, of previous apartment address as she hasn't updated her registration. Cop, there's also unpaid citations on this vehicle. I have to inform you that I am impounding this vehicle. The cop writes up a ticket, calls a tow truck and tows it to the pound. Since then, we have had a couple of huge fights about this. I feel that she needs to be more organized, starting with keeping her car legal. To force the issue, I have revoked my wife's usage privileges of my car until such a point that we're on more of an equal footing, and she's mad about it. I'm not prepared to budge on it until she takes care of her car situation. So give it to me straight. Am I being an a-hole about a car? Now for the top comments before reading the updates 8 months later. Not a-hole. Wow, she really screwed you over. How can she even be mad at you? She should be apologizing. Okay, to be fair, she did apologize profusely when she found out what happened. She's not mad at me per se. I think she's mostly mad at the situation and probably a bit embarrassed. but yeah, it did seriously screw me over. Found out what happened? Dude, she's well aware that she got tickets and didn't pay them. She's well aware her registration is expired. She took your vehicle because it's legal and there was no risk of her getting pulled over and the car impounded. She knew her car shouldn't be on the road, and she left you with it anyway. Not the a-hole. Curious as to your wife's point of view though. She took your car without asking, probably to avoid being told no. You end up missing your weekend because of her car. And she's mad because she has to use her own car now? Yep, she uses my car all the time. And I am totally fine with it because we're a team and we share everything. She says she simply didn't think about it, and I'm inclined to believe her because that's true to her character. It's not really an excuse, but she's not the type to deliberately do something secretively that she knows I will disagree with. She's pretty open and we communicate well. In this situation, she messed up, and she knows it. But it's prompted a bigger conversation between us about her being a lot, more responsible. And now for the update. Hi everyone! It's been a while and I've had a lot of requests for an update. A lot has happened in the past 8 months. This issue really opened up a huge can of worms that I am having a hard time knowing what I want to do moving forward with. Bear with me, this is long. So here's what happened since this post. Important context, we never joined our finances. We have separate bank accounts where pay goes into, and a joint account that we both put our monthly funds to cover joint expenses. And it's been working fine for years. We also have separate accounts for things like cell phones, car insurances, and other stuff that we had before we got together. Retrieval of her car. 1. I've never had a car towed before, so didn't really know what to do. And holy smokes, this was a complete crap show. I called the number for the impound lot, and they informed me that before I could get the car back, we needed to pay off all the citations, get the car compliant, etc. Of course, the DMV doesn't open till Monday, so I'm without car all weekend. 2. Monday. We got into the DMV to sort this out. I find out that there are 47 unpaid tickets for my wife's car, going back for almost 2 years, which cost over $1,500 to clear out. I was dumbfounded. I almost exploded and asked what the heck is going on here. And she basically started crying, saying she knew it was an issue but didn't realize it was this bad. 3. She didn't have enough money to pay for the tickets because her credit card is maxed out, which was news to me too. She has a $10,000 credit limit on her card, so I paid it off. 4. Then we tried to change her registration from her old address to our address, which prompted a whole other issue. Her insurance has lapsed. I didn't know this either. So we had to get on with her insurance company to get that sorted out. While going through this process, I discovered that her premium was literally 4 times more than mine, and they insisted on a full payment upfront for the 12-month period, which was $4,800. 5. To get everything complete and a car to be released took 3 days. Then we went to the pound to get a car. $375 towing fee, plus a $90 per day storage fee, so $825 needing payment. Again, I had to pay because she couldn't afford it. We get home and I'm just fuming. This just cost me about $7,000 in a few days. Our first real fight. After we get home from picking up the car, I'm just beyond frustrated and angry at this entire situation and need to have clearing of the grievances with her. This blew up over 4 hours to the biggest fight we've ever had. I thought we had fights before, but this was different. It was relationship existential. It really opened my eyes to the real issue, that being I actually don't really know who she is anymore. So many skeletons came out of the closet in this 4-hour roller coaster of emotions. Here's the highlight. Her money situation. 1. I was surprised that her credit card was maxed out as $10,000 limit. She makes great money, about $25,000 more annually than I do. So her lack of money was unexpected. Then I asked her how much debt does she have in total. At this point, I only know of the $10,000 credit card debt I learned about a few days beforehand. 2. I learned that she had 6 credit cards. All of them are basically maxed out. Total credit card debt is $24,000, all with high interest. 3. She also had 3 store cards all maxed out. Total scorecard debt is $2,500. 4. I also learned she had a line of credit for $18,000, also maxed out. 5. She also owes to various friend and family members about $8,000. 6. Her total debt is $52,000. 7. She makes the monthly minimum payments only, on everything. At this point, I am shocked and reeling. I can't believe it. I feel physically sick. I didn't know about any of this, and I'm at a loss as to why I don't know. I don't even know who she is anymore. We've been married 2 years, together for 5.5 years. When we moved from dating to a relationship, we had a pretty big talk about core values and what was important to be aligned on before getting really involved. Obviously, things like being exclusive are key, but I also said that financial security and being debt-free are very important to me. I made some stupid decisions in my early 20s that hurt me financially, and I had to work hard to get out from under that. I said I have 3 pillars that I wanted to build a future with her on. These were deal breakers. If she's not 100% on board, then we shouldn't continue dating because I was falling in love and I didn't want to go further unless there was a future. 1. Cheating in any form is a deal breaker. 2. Financial irresponsibility is a deal breaker. 3. Family. I want to have kids. I reminded her of this in the fight, and she said that I had come on too strong at that point about financial irresponsibility. She already had most of the debt at that point and decided to not say anything at that moment, which she acknowledged was a mistake because she thought I would have broken up with her there and then. Then she kept hiding it because she wanted to try and rectify it before I found out, but she couldn't. She also pointed out that I never asked about her financial situation, which is true. I didn't. So that was where we were. At this point, I was pretty upset, and I have to leave the house. So I left and went to stay at a friend's house for the night, which ended up being a couple of weeks in the end. The next morning when I woke up, I felt devastated. I had to take some time off work because I couldn't think straight. I kept racking my brains to understand how this happened. How did I not know? How did I not see the signs or evidence? I felt betrayed. It was like I had been cheated on, but somehow worse. I couldn't bring myself to speak to her for the first few days because I was so upset and or angry. I am not usually a very emotional person, so this was difficult to process. I would go from rage to tears to rage to despair in a few minutes. I didn't trust myself around anyone to not be a raging a-hole. She was blowing up my phone asking me to talk to her and come home, but I couldn't. Eventually, I asked my friend to call her and tell her to give me some space and time, which she did. But later on that day, I had her brother and both parents also reach out to me to see if they could speak. I politely declined and said I need time. Obviously, she was going through a tough time too and reached out to them for help. The last 6 months have been hard, but we're working through it. We're both committed to that. But I am still struggling with the enormity of the situation. I still can't help feeling betrayed. I have lost a lot of trust in her, but we're in a couples therapy to get through this. She's trying really hard to make it work, correct her mistakes, and work on being a more organized and reliable person. I see that. She's made some real major changes in how she runs her finances. She's taken debt counseling sessions and is following those teachings quite diligently and being really transparent with her situation. In the last 6 months, she's consolidated all the cards into one loan and canceled all her old cards. The debt is down to $14,000 since this all started, so this is all super positive. So I am hopeful this has a good ending. Update. Am I the a-hole for choosing my sister-in-law over my brother? Original post. Me, female 17, brother, male 29, and sister-in-law, female 29. My brother Jake and sister-in-law Ashley had been together since they were 15. They got married when they were 20 and have 3 kids together. Ashley and I have always been close. She's like the big sister I never had. My whole family love and adore her, and her and Jake always seem to have the perfect relationship. A couple of weeks ago, Jake went on a trip with some friends for the weekend because it was one of their birthdays. Ashley didn't go and stayed home with the kids. However, during the trip, Jake only checked in with Ashley once, which was when he arrived at the destination and never again after that. It was unusual because he's always on his phone and told Ashley and my family that he would check in. So Ashley decided to call one of Jake's friends to see if something had happened, but when his friend answered, he told Ashley that there was no trip, and he had no idea where my brother was. After that, we told Ashley to come and stay with us for the rest of the weekend, as she was a bit distraught. My brother eventually came home on the Monday and said that he had lost his phone, which was absolute BS, and we all knew it. Before he returned, we asked Ashley what she wanted to do with what she knew, and she told us not to bring it up with Jake and not to jump to conclusions, and that she will handle it. After my brother arrived, he and Ashley headed back to their house. A few days later, my brother messaged my mom to see if he could stay at ours for a bit, but he didn't say why. Not too long after, Ashley messaged us and told us that she confronted him about the trip and how she knew it didn't exist. He kept denying it and said that she was just being crazy and that he just lost his phone. But he eventually confessed that he was at a coworker's house and that he had been hooking up with her for a few months. His excuse was that Ashley and him hardly been intimate anymore, and so he needed to find someone to fill his needs. Ashley ended up kicking him out, and they decided to get a divorce. My brother ended up moving with us until he finds a place of his own and until the divorce is finalized. I haven't spoken to him since he moved in, and don't plan to. All I can do is look at him in disgust. I have so much hatred towards him after what is done to Ashley. My parents are disappointed in him, but still love him because he is their son. They told me to forgive him because he is my brother, but I just can't. And I have started going to Ashley's every day after school to help with the kids and take some stress off her. My brother found out about this and is mad at me for going over there. He told me to cut her off since they are not together anymore and says she's no longer a part of our family, so there is no need for me to go see or speak to her. I told him that she will always be part of our family because she's the mother of your kids. And just because you messed up your relationship with her doesn't mean I have to. I will always love her, and I will not be cutting her off. I told him that I will choose her over him if it comes to that. After that argument, he has not spoken to me or even looked at me. Every time he sees me, he walks the other way. My parents have told me to apologize and fix things with him, but I don't think that will ever happen. My other brothers have sided with him too, and I'll think I'm a piece of crap for choosing Ashley over my brother. Deep down, I still love my brother. I don't want to lose him, but what he did is unforgivable to me. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Your brother is a prick, and the rest of your family are enabling his bad behavior. Maybe when Ashley takes away the grandkids, they might change their tune. You are being a decent human being. Also, not only is he telling Opie to avoid Ashley for his own misdeeds, even if there was a viable reason to be mad at her, like mutual breakup, whatever, his kids live there. He's telling his sister not to go hang with his kids because Ashley's no longer family. That's not how it works when you have kids. He's lucky his sister is as mature as she is and is still cultivating a relationship with his kids. And he's lucky Ashley wants that. As someone said down thread, Opie seems to be the most mature in her family, which is sad, but good for Opie and good for Ashley. Also, so he just took a week off from his whole family to hang out at his side chicks, so is now essentially cheating on his whole family. Every parent deserves a break, and it's wonderful when partners can provide that opportunity for each other. But it has to be based on the truth and trust and respect. When you lie to get away from your family, I think that adds another level of screw up to the already messed up lying to cheat. Right? Is there any mystery to why they aren't being intimate? She's exhausted. Does her husband care? No. Heading off to go screw my coworker, and you should apologize to me if you disagree with it. My poor prick. It has needs. And the parents. What message are they sending? Opie, good for you for supporting your sister-in-law. You're a wonderful friend. And human. Not the a-hole. She's been in your life since you were what? 3 years old? I think she's just as much your sibling as he is at this point. My oldest brother cheated on his wife years ago. She's been my big sister since I was 4, so I chose her. When people gave me the "but he's your brother" line, I reminded them that she has been my sister for almost as long. My husband and I supported her and opened our home to her when she didn't want to go home. We fed her when she would stop eating. We did our best to take care of her. Sadly, in my case, my sister-in-law chose to get back together with my brother, and they no longer speak to me for different reasons. But I can live my life knowing that I did what I thought was right, and my integrity is intact. Not the a-hole. Ashley is the mother of your nieces/nephews. She's the mother of your brother's children, so whether he likes it or not, Ashley is going to be part of the family dynamic, divorced or not. I don't get your parents. That's their grandchildren who he has decided to hurt, as well as Ashley. You have every right to be angry. I would not apologize. I would continue to help with the kids. If he wants to apologize to you for being a prick about the whole thing, then whatever. By this, I mean being mad at you for going over to Ashley's to help with his kids. Now for the update. Firstly, I just wanted to answer a common question I keep getting. Is my brother still in contact with his kids? No, he is not. He has not seen or spoken to them since he was kicked out. His own choice. Okay, so I have not spoken to my brother since our argument. He refuses to talk to me, as well as acknowledge me. My parents still insist that I apologize and make things right with them. And I have told them I would try to make things right. But I will not be apologizing. However, my brother does not want to hear anything I say. I've spoken with my parents about everything and how I feel, but it was pointless. They don't even try to understand my side of things. It's just all about my brother to them. Ashley and the kids are doing great. Her family came down to support her and help out. I also still go over there whenever I can. My parents have not seen the kids or spoken to them either. Ashley has made it clear that they can visit anytime they like, but because my brother doesn't want us to have anything to do with her, they refuse to go over. So Ashley plans to gain full custody of the kids, to which my brother has agreed upon. This was the only time they have spoken to each other since they split up. Ashley is also planning to move closer to her parents, which I'm sad about, but also happy for her and the kids. They deserve to be happy, and away from all this toxicity. I don't know if my brother and I will ever fix our relationship, but I honestly don't care anymore. I'm planning to go no contact with him once he leaves. There's not much more to say. My brother is still behaving like a child, and my parents and brother still stand by him. Thank you everyone for the kind words and advice. I think it is so pathetic that your parents are giving up a relationship with their own grandchildren for a man who only cares about the wrong part of his anatomy. I wish Ashley all the best going forward with her and her kids' lives. A little advice: as soon as you can, go no contact with your parents and brother, since they are obviously punishing the wronged parties here being Ashley and the innocent parties being the kids. Any man who can walk away from his children for a fling isn't a man at all. Just you wait and watch. When Jake or either of his parents are on their deathbed, they'll emotionally blackmail Ashley to allow her to visit them one final time. That, or if Jake ever needs some sort of blood transfusion, donate an organ or both. He'll expect his kids to step up and be the better/bigger person, because this is what families do for one another. It doesn't matter what I did to you or your mother. I am your father, and you are obligated to help me. No, he's going to get a new girlfriend and spin "she keeps the kids away," and then he will randomly start demanding parenting time to impress the new girlfriend. OMG, this. My daughter's biological father hasn't seen her in 15 years. She doesn't even remember him. His family used to blame me, but through the years, they definitely realized I was not at fault. They all reach out and check on her and ask to see her when they are visiting her cousins nearby us, and I have always obliged. I can tell whenever he is in a new serious relationship, as he will start posting stolen pictures of her on social media and talk about how much she loves her when she could not even pick him out in a crowd. We are not actually connected in social media, but his brother will occasionally send me a screenshot saying, "Look at this BS." What a pathetic human piece of garbage of a dad he is. I hope Ashley gets child support. Her kids deserve this. Your parents aren't good either. They are enabling your brother on his bad behavior. They took it too far by abandoning their own grandkids. I hope karma hits your brother like a train someday. Ashley is smart for not filing for child support until she's left the state or county to be closer to her parents. If she did it now, then OP's brother could get a judge to order her to stay or leave without the kids as her choice. But if she files after, they can't make her move again. Your comment leaves out very big details. In all of the US and most other countries, a judge can order the kids returned to the state/city in which they have established residency. It takes 6 months for a new residency to be established. Yeah, so I pray Ashley doesn't file until whatever deadline there is passed, because I doubt the loser ex will care enough to fight it. Probably use it as a bargaining chip to pay less, but at least he's out of her hair. Last story. My husband doesn't know I plan to leave him. I've been married for almost 5 years and we have 1 child together. After we got married, it was like a full 180 in his behavior. He went from being attentive and sweet to no affection whatsoever. He gets super defensive when I bring it up or when we have fights in general. He is short-tempered even with our child who is 2. He also lets her walk all over him. I'm a stay-at-home mom and enrolled full-time in college. I will be finishing my first degree in a few months. Currently, I take care of all the finances. All he does is bring in the money. I make sure bills are paid and keep him in check with his reckless spending. If not monitored, he will blow through his paycheck and credit card balance within days, leaving nothing for gas and personal expenses for ourselves and our kid. I have done everything possible to get him out of debt and start rebuilding his credit, including his current credit card. Now, it's a fight to get him to watch our kid for me to do schoolwork doing online classes currently. Everything he wants to do is made to be more important. In some ways, I feel he knows I'll leave when I've finished school. He has cheated on me a few times now. The most current was over these past holidays and involved sending pictures of his credit card to the girl he was talking to. I found the messages shortly after he did it and canceled the card before any damage was done. He has since lost his trust in keeping the card, so I hold on to it now. This last time, I felt a change in myself. While I was mad he did it, I felt no other reactions or emotions. I no longer trust him, but until I get my degree, I'm stuck where I'm at. I've told him as much, and said if he wanted any hope of saving the marriage, he has until I get my degree. I have no intentions of staying with him though. Once I have my degree, I plan to pay all our debts, my student loans, and paying to take my name off our car title and transferring the loan into his name only. This all will ruin him as he has no understanding of how to pay any of the bills and has had someone to do it for him, even before we got together 8 years ago. He will more than likely lose the car, even though he can afford it currently. As for our kid, he isn't much of a father. I have to tell him when to change the diaper, when to work on potty training, and when to feed. All he really does is play, which too roughly in my opinion, and yell. It will be a stipulation in the divorce that he won't have to pay me anything if he signs over custody without a fight. He doesn't see or speak to his 2 other kids, so I know he won't fight me on this. He pays child support for them, and I know he doesn't want to lose more money to child support. If he chooses to fight for once, then I'll have more than enough evidence to get custody and whatever child support the judge grants. I know how this sounds, and I don't intend on keeping him from his child either way, but he willingly chose to not keep in contact with his other 2 kids, so I don't see ours being any different, and I will not allow him to walk in whenever it's convenient for him, which is what he did to the other 2. I apologize for the long post. I've been sitting on this for a while and needed somewhere to get it out. Edit? A lot of you are making assumptions based on your own thoughts, so let's clear some things up. Things with his ex-girlfriend were rocky before I came along. He attempted to make an effort to see his kids before we were married, until she took off to a different state with no warning, and cut any form of contact. We weren't able to see or hear from them for over 2 years. After she came back, we saw them as often as she would let him. He didn't cut contact until after my child was already born. Yes, there were red flags about his behavior before we were married. I was young and naive. I really didn't know what to look for until a few years later. I even brought those flags up to him, and every time since. I call him out on his behavior, and I don't sit by and take it. Some of you have been really nice and supportive, and I appreciate all of you. Those of you offering advice on your own thoughts and wisdom on a snapshot of my situation need to go back and read the rules for the sub. I did not come here to get opinions. I came here to get something off my chest, as the title of the sub suggests. Now for the comments. That cheating alone is a deal breaker. When he did it before, I stayed to be vindictive to the ex he cheated on me with. Also something I've never admitted. Now it was the last wave to an already sinking ship. The relationship is dead to me, and will be officially dead when I'm able to support myself and my child without his help. Damn, lady, you've been through a lot. Let him blow up his finances on his own. Carry out your plan to leave. Don't touch him while you're finishing your degree. Only reply to him in yeses and nos. It's going to freak him out. He'll probably try and do more, as in anything other than a rough fun time dad, without you asking. Let him. Once you're able, peace out and leave. And don't look back except to watch him burn his own life down to the ground. This is the way. I'm glad for you, but I can't fathom marrying and having a kid with a man who willingly doesn't see his own kids. You knew from the get-go he was a trashy person. Yeah, this wasn't a 180. I hope he ignored the signs. He will be different this time. I will change him. Deadbeat parents should tell you all you need to know. And deadbeat parents are usually people who will never change. I don't want to twist a knife in for Opie personally, and I'm happy she woke up. And at the end of the day, the husband is the main problem here. But people, especially women, should see this comment and take note. These guys don't change. And stop getting with men who are deadbeats. Update. I'm leaving my boyfriend over milk. Original post. I live with my boyfriend and we've had conflicts now for over 5 months because of milk. Approximately 6 months ago, I found out I'm lactose intolerant, and it made me change all my diet to avoid stomachache and nausea, which is working pretty well. I do not expect my boyfriend to change his diet as well to accommodate me, so we've been buying our own groceries to not impact one another. In my country, plant-based milk and lactose-free products are much expensive, but since I love my cheese and milk, I buy it anyway. The problem is that my partner eats it all when I'm not home and doesn't replace it by buying more. I don't mind sharing food, but it's really disrespectful of him to not leave some for me. He knows lactose is something my stomach can't handle, but he still eats and drinks my products when I'm not around. It made us fight a lot of time, and it's been ongoing for 5 months until now. This morning, seeing less than 100 ml of my almond milk made me go absolutely crazy, due to the fact I was more than 10 hours awake from my shift in the hospital and just wanted some latte. He keeps saying it's not a big deal, but the fact that he chooses to consume my stuff and refuses to admit his mistakes makes it unbearable. How my boyfriend treats me is absolutely outrageous, and it made me see that he doesn't treat me as an equal due to how much disrespect I've been enduring, and I can't take it anymore. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Okay, so my view on this is, the milk is not the problem. You have clearly stated that you really don't like it that you buy your own stuff, and it's gone all the time, and he apparently doesn't care. You ask something small of him, and he just shows that he absolutely does not care about your opinion at all. Does he not respect you? Does he just not give a damn about your needs and your feelings? Does he just do this a big middle finger towards you to show you that he is in charge in this relationship and does not need to please you? I say ask him these questions. It is not about the milk. It is about a complete lack of respect towards you. If he doesn't show that he cares about your desires and small things, then why would you even trust him to care about your desires on big things in the future? You are not breaking up with your boyfriend over milk, but you can definitely break up with him over a lack of respect. He'd better start showing that to you. As I like to say, the Iranian yogurt is not a problem here. It's not the milk that's the issue. It's the fact that your boyfriend cares so little for you and your health, and has blatant lack of respect for you. He has his own milk, but is drinking yours instead, knowing that you can only drink that kind due to health conditions. It's such a little thing, but he goes out of his way to do it, and that's the real issue here. Good on you for sticking up for yourself and knowing that you deserve better. And if it wasn't such a big deal, he could have replaced the milk. Before you leave, the petty in me would eat all of one of his preferred groceries, or toss it out when he's not home and say you ate it. If he complains, you can tell him, "Oh, I thought this type of thing wasn't a big deal." Now for the updates. I bought a plane ticket to return to my parents' home. My soon-to-be ex-boyfriend thinks we are okay since I've been quiet after he yelled at me saying I was overreacting. I've sent a message to my boss, and she said it is fine for me to work online. I was thinking about writing a letter to my boyfriend since this was my first relationship. Dear boyfriend, I am leaving a 5-year relationship in which was full of red flags I couldn't see due to my rose-tinted glasses. My favorite nickname that you gave me was Doll, but now it makes me want to puke. The naive old me thought it was because he loved my dark hair and my love for pink. But now looking back, maybe it was because how dumb I looked just to please you, by obeying every single word like a spell. I know deep in my heart you will blame me for the breakup, or maybe the milk. None of these were the issue. You are the problem. Every time you disrespected me by consuming my almond milk was like someone slowly plucking petals, because every single act of disregard made my love for you die. Honestly, this fate couldn't be prevented. We know where we are in each other's hearts. The only mistake was making you the priority when I clearly wasn't. Thank you for being my first, but unfortunately you won't be my last. Goodbye. Update 2. Yesterday was a bit chaotic, so I didn't have the chance to log onto this account. While my ex was at college, me and my 4 friends packed everything I bought over the years. The only thing I left behind was our engagement ring, photos, and the house keys. I left the heavy and big stuff at my friend's house, and she will be shipping it to my parents' home. God bless her. I arrived during the night at my home city and my phone wasn't even on, so several hours was peaceful for me. No more screaming, no more disrespect, and no more stolen milk. Today when I finally turned on my phone, there was more than 74 calls from him. The messages were between begging me to come home and talk it out, to threatening to expose my nudes, telling everyone about my ADHD, find me and make me regret. I am quite afraid of it, so I showed my parents these texts, and now we're planning to spend several days at our beach home in another state until it is safe and get a police report. I don't know what will happen after I file a report, since in our country, the police is a failure. Now for the last update. Hi, it's me again, and today I'm going to give you all some bad news. In my last update, I told you about traveling to my beach house in another state, and it saved my life. Here is awesome. I missed being sun-kissed and having so much fun at the beach. As I mentioned before, traveling to my family's beach house was what kept me alive, since my ex-boyfriend wanted to fulfill his promises of bringing me home at whatever cost. Before leaving, I told the building administration that my ex is not allowed to enter the condominium since he's a threat. This morning, my parents received a call from the doorman saying they called the police because my ex-boyfriend showed up and tried to find me. He was able to enter since I forgot to delete his Face ID, but fortunately, this monster was stopped at a reception. At first, he tried to talk to the staff saying it was all a misunderstanding and we're back together, but they asked for proof, and this idiot couldn't provide it. He then became very violent and tried to attack the staff, so they called the police. When they started searching him and his bag, it was found a pair of knives, gloves, and plastic bags. So now he's in the preventive detention. I am still shaken up at a possibility of me being unalived by him, so this will be my final update since we will be suing him. The fact that it was all caused by milk is really shocking, because it made me see that the man I almost married is a monster. Thank you all for the support and advice. I don't know why my comments aren't showing up, but I want to say I'm really grateful for everything. Edit, for the sake of my privacy, there won't be any information about the condo, the CCTV footage, nothing. This is confidential information now. OMG, this is insane. I'm so glad that you got out and it is safe, that the staff was able to stop him. I never expected him to get violent because he's always been a decent guy. I think God was on our side, since he is 6 foot and is full of muscles, and normally it would have been difficult to tackle him. Your ex is insane. He would have offed you. This is not about milk, but about controlling you. You are not allowed anything for yourself in his eyes. He has to always have control over the relationship. This man is extremely dangerous, so please be careful and watch your back. Carry an alarm, pepper spray, and a weapon with you. This scared me the most, that the moment he lost control over her, his only thought was to end her. This guy is straight up a psychopath. I'm not exaggerating. I'm really glad she broke up with him and fled to safety. I can't even imagine what would have happened if they got married and possibly had a child together. Now Opie realizes that leaving him saved her life, literally. I hope she'll manage to be safe, away from him. I'm going to stay at the other state for some time. I'm not prepared to return home. I understand you can't update about the lawsuit, but can you update once in a while to tell us you're safe? I know I don't know you, but you got me worried and stuff. I will try to make some updates. I think this will be my personal journey of healing. Next story. I regret getting married every single moment. I haven't even married 6 months, but I, 25 female, am leaving my husband, 30 male. Disclaimer, we have discussed monogamy in detail before we got married. We both agreed we were monogamous and wanted to be in a close relationship. Then 1 month after our wedding, he asked if we could open up our marriage. This came out of nowhere, and I have been shocked and angry. I told him I was not comfortable with that, and he told me to just give it time. He has completely dismissed my apprehension and refuses to acknowledge my concerns. He tells me that he has not made moves on anyone, but he has swiped on dating apps with me in bed with him. He also flirts with coworkers of ours, ones who were at our wedding. Yesterday I had someone ask if I had been the one to open the marriage, and I've never felt so betrayed and disrespected by my husband. He has told everyone we are in an open marriage. My stepmother is letting me stay with her for a few weeks, and I'm collecting my things this evening. I can't continue this anymore. I'm in the bathroom at work crying my eyes out. Now for the top advice. Sorry you're going through that. That's super crappy of him to pull that after you got married. Glad you're getting out. Honestly, it's good that you found out now rather than years down the line. I'm glad you're kicking his butt to the curb and not caving. Right. Thank God it came out before you potentially started a family with him. I can't help but think, what an idiot. You go through dating, you go through the proposal, engagement, etc., the wedding planning, then this? 1 month? You're still in the honeymoon phase. When my wife and I discussed swinging and stuff, as we were talking about a good friend who was experimenting with it who are now divorcing, the whole conversation was, her, I can't think of you being with another woman. I just couldn't do it. Me, okay, I don't really want you sleeping with another guy. Her, okay. Literally haven't discussed it in years. Every time I read something on this site about group activities / poly / open relationships, it reinforces monogamy for me. I know some people can do it successfully, but they seem to be very much the minority. Good on you for standing your ground. He probably figured she'd be trapped by the marriage and agree under pressure. That's why it happened so quickly. Sounds like Opie's calling his bluff, and I hope she sticks with it. He definitely thought he had locked her down before showing his true self. Opie, I'm guessing it's safe to say you don't intend on sleeping with them again, but be on the lookout for sabotaged birth control. As soon as he gets wind that you are intending to leave, he's going to look for the next step he can take to trap you. 1 month? 1 month in and he asked to open up the marriage? The freaking audacity. I am so sorry. Well, 32 days exactly. But yes. I think based on this, you qualify for an annulment. But that would likely prevent you from being able to leave with anything if that's what you are seeking. Might seem litigious, but also may help you sleep better at night, knowing you're able to undo the marriage altogether, just like he did. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say he's been sleeping with other people. He did betray you. Go get yourself someone that wants you and only you. Your husband sounds like a loser. We came back from our mini honeymoon, and he immediately was gone the entire night we got back. I asked where he was, and he told me he passed out drinking at a friend's, and a friend covered for him. I didn't have any reason to not believe him, but now I'm so disappointed and disgusted. I'm making an appointment at a clinic to get tested. Last story. My boyfriend cheated on me with his roommate's ex. Original post. Dude couldn't even man up and tell me that he didn't want to be together anymore. He had me thinking that he was dead somewhere because he wouldn't reply back to me for 2 days. His roommate had to call me and let me know that, yeah, he's fine. He's cheating on you with my ex. So not only is he screwing me over, but he's also screwing over his roommate, his supposed best friend. What a freaking crappy person. I can't believe I was fooled. I almost told this person I loved him. I'm so mad at myself. I'm so disgusted. So I went to my ex's house on Wednesday to grab some things I left there, and did some unhinged and petty things on his room as his roommates egged me on. His roommate felt so bad for me. Heck, I felt so bad for him. He still has to live with a guy who betrayed him. I offered to buy him lunch, and he accepted and offered me a toke. We went to a Thai place and I ate one piece of my food as my appetite has been completely lost, and pondered on if what I did, trashing my ex's room, was justified. I asked the roommate and he was shocked, responding with, "Don't you think he deserved it?" Indeed he did, but I'm such a nice person. I felt like I had gone a little psycho about it. I took him back to the apartment and told him how I was sad I wouldn't see their cat anymore. He told me I could come over whenever I wanted to, even just to mess with my ex. I asked if he had any St. Patrick's Day plans, and he said, yeah, come out with me. So I accepted. We texted for a few days. I let him know I was making shepherd's pie for my parents, and he commented on how he hadn't had it in a while. I offered to bring him some, since I had intended on making some for them on Friday if everything hadn't blown up anyway. So, I made a pies on Friday afternoon and headed out to meet him at a bar that evening. Arrived at a bar, he introduced me to everyone all night as my roommate's ex-girlfriend that he cheated on with my ex. So, although I got sympathy, I felt uneasy on how these random people and his co-workers, as we went to his job to get free drinks, would view me. He'd been drinking all day, while I had just started, so I was looking out for him a little. We went to smoke in his car, then went to a house party after. Now, at this party, he was putting his arm around me and hugging me. It felt nice. We left the party and went back to his car. We spoke for a moment before he asked to kiss me. I said, sure, and we made out for a bit. He walked me to my car and he asked if I wanted to go back to the apartment with him. With the possibility of seeing my ex? Not now. I headed home instead. It wasn't my intention to get with a roommate. I know it won't lead to anything serious because he's too young for me, and I just can't set my head/heart straight for anything physical right now. Also, I'm late in my cycle, about 4 days late. I'm hoping it's just from the stress. Not gonna lie, based on how he introduced you to everyone, it sounds like he's just trying to get under his roommate's skin by messing around with you now. I might be wrong though. I figured, and I'm sort of okay with it. He has a reputation, but at least he's straight up about it. I just let him know that I wanted comfort, affection, and friendship rather than a hookup, and he's okay with that since he can find it anywhere. I would be careful with that. Lots of times, men will say whatever they think you want to hear while they wait for their chance to get physical. Especially a man who's hurt and possibly looking for revenge. If you eventually find that you're okay with getting physical, then it works out. But until then, just keep an eye out. Worst case scenario, he knows you're vulnerable right now and will offer comfort/affection/friendship as a foot in the door to eventually sleep with you. You really need to separate yourself from this drama BS. No games, no revenge. Cut your ex off, cut his roommates off, and move on with your life. Take the cat first. They deserve better. He deserves so much better, but it's okay. I love on him when I see him. I grew up in a drug house. My sister and her boyfriend were on stuffs. My mom and her boyfriend were on something, and my sister's boyfriend's friend and his girlfriend were on them too. Well, my sister's boyfriend and his friend's girlfriend got caught hooking up and left. So my sister ended up getting with a friend. 20 years of marriage and 3 kids later, they're still happily married. I'm not sure why I mentioned the D's, but everybody's clean now and has been for many years. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Update. My brother's girlfriend made an altar of my child. Original post. I'm 34 male, wife is 32 female, brother is 27 male, and brother's girlfriend is 26 female. I'm looking for advice here because this is completely over my head, and my initial reaction to this is probably way off. My brother has been dating his girlfriend for about a year now. She's a nice girl, but at times her behavior is odd and erratic. She asks over and over again to babysit for my kids, girl and boy, 3 and 5. My wife and I have always said no. This weekend we had a barbecue and she was acting extremely strangely, only speaking in a baby voice, not talking to any of the adults and running around with the kids. My wife pulled me aside at one point, extremely upset. She has found her in our 3-year-old's room, in her playpen/ball pit area, sucking her thumb covered in our daughter's blankets, with all of her stuffed animals. My wife was completely confused as to what was going on. And when she asked my brother's girlfriend what she was doing, she responded in a baby voice that she was tired and needed nappies. My wife came immediately to get me, and we both confronted my brother to ask him what the heck was going on. My brother got extremely embarrassed. He said that his girlfriend has dissociative identity disorder, and one of her alters is a 3-year-old girl. My wife and I don't know anything about this disorder, so we didn't really say anything. Just told him to please go get her and keep her out of our kids' room. I went to get her, but within 15 minutes he still wasn't out. I went to go see what was going on, and his girlfriend was extremely upset, insisting that he calls her Evelyn, our daughter's name. That was the last straw for my wife. She told her to leave, and brother's girlfriend started straight up sobbing using her baby voice, saying she's confused and doesn't understand why everyone is being mean to her and calling her the wrong name. That night, my brother called and admitted that not only is one of her alters a 3-year-old, it's very specifically our 3-year-old. He said he can't talk to her about this because when she's not her Evelyn alter, she doesn't remember anything, and when she is her Evelyn alter, she isn't rational. My wife and I told my brother she's not allowed at family functions anymore, and she's not allowed around our kids. My wife was extremely upset and told my brother that his girlfriend was psychotic and that she wouldn't understand why he was still with someone like that. My brother is upset that my wife said those things about her and said he understands we would be upset about her having an alter of our daughter, but she can't help it. And we should be more understanding because it's a disorder due to childhood trauma. Did my wife and I handle this the right way? We know nothing about this disorder, and doing research into it, the medical definition doesn't seem to match the way my brother's girlfriend is acting. Adding from a comment because it seems relevant, she doesn't have an official diagnosis. Apparently, it was rude of my wife and I to ask if she was getting treatment or had a diagnosis, because therapy isn't available to everyone, and self-diagnosis is valid. She comes from a very affluent family, and definitely has the resources to get therapy and proper diagnosis. I know DID is debated among professionals about whether it's a legit thing, But from the people I've seen who claim to have it, their alters are their own identities. It has never ever been someone else's who actually exists. This is the bit that throws me off further. She claims to have a 3-year-old as an alter? Sure, whatever. But saying that she's your daughter? This is way more concerning. Don't let her back until she's sought professional help. Well said. It was outside the scope of my post. But DID manifesting as these wildly distinct personalities, like in primal fear with an inability to remember what has happened, is very Hollywood and not often how it goes. The one example of something on the spectrum of DID I've seen was a patient who had compartmentalized like 3 different active lives within her life. They knew of them, took responsibility for it all, and couldn't exactly account for why they lived this way, other than that it felt exhausting the idea of any of those people knowing the other version of her. As if something had happened at some point in her life so traumatic, it just fractured her sense of self, to the point that she couldn't even really conceptualize herself behaving differently in different settings, without manifesting different realities where it was acceptable for her to behave those ways within. She really tested fine and behaved normally otherwise. This woman, on the other hand, is like actively causing discomfort in adults with how active and energetic she is with the kids, fixated on their child, and massively breaking down into fits of tears in situations that don't seem right. There's something robustly psychiatric going on. I just highly doubt it's DID. My money's on mania, substances for an extremely disordered personality. I would ban her from my house. You don't need a reason to decide who is allowed around your children, and this woman has given enough reasons anyway. Trying multiple times to babysit little kids while behaving like a little kid, allegedly due to a mental illness she didn't disclose? That's really messed up. If she really is suffering from dissociative identity disorder, she's not handling it appropriately. And you can tell your brother that is not because you despise her, but because you don't feel your kids being safe around her. 100%. If she actually has a 3-year-old alter and can't control when it fronts, she's objectively an unsafe guardian for her children. When people age regress, it's because they literally cannot cope with adult responsibilities with their current skill set. Now for the first update. So to start things off, my wife and I have done a lot of research into dissociative identity disorder. Right off the bat, I'll be blunt here. I do not believe in the fad DID or anything that goes along with it. I don't think people are programmed to be systems. I don't think people make fictives over characters from TV or movies. And I definitely don't think it's possible to make an alter of a specific 3-year-old girl. I think that's all attention-seeking BS. I don't know about the validity of actual DID, if it does exist, because at this point it is being faked so much, it's impossible to figure out if it's an actual disorder or not. I definitely don't think if someone did actually have DID, they would be on Reddit casually talking and making videos about meeting the alters and BS like that. And no, I don't think being in the DSM proves any validity whatsoever. I do think if you really are convinced you have DID, you probably do have some sort of disorder that you should get checked out with an actual reputable doctor. Now that's out of the way, my wife and I have heard from my brother after the party. He still thinks we owe his girlfriend an apology. We told him that he owes us an apology for not telling us about his girlfriend's erratic and psychotic behavior. I'm not using the term psychotic to be insulting. I really do think she's experiencing some sort of psychosis. My wife told him that due to his extraordinary lack of judgment in bringing her around our family and our kids, when he knew about this, we didn't really feel comfortable having him around our children without one of us directly there either. We encouraged him to get her to see an actual doctor and get checked out. We told him we'd be willing to help her look for doctors in the area if she needed support and didn't want to involve her family in this for whatever reason. But we also told him under no circumstances will she be allowed around our children again. Unless she goes through intensive therapy, realizes what she did was wrong and apologizes for it. Thanks to everyone for pushing us in the right direction as to what to do. We really appreciated all of your input and comments. To clarify, I'm not saying DID isn't real. I don't know. I think you all know what DID fad I'm talking about. I don't believe in the social media DID, the meet the alters and watch me switch BS. And yes, she does have a TikTok account where she does pretend to be my daughter. Protect your children. This is disturbing behavior, and the fact they tried to hide and then excuse her issues when they directly impact your home is such a breach of trust. I'm proud of you and your wife securing your border. If no one else has said it, cameras, cameras, cameras. Near the egress and ingress points of your home. Thank you. We already have cameras installed. But we are looking into getting 2 more near the entrance of our driveway and at the edge of our property in the backyard. And let the daycare/preschool/any childcare person know as well. She could show up and try and claim she's the nanny. Truly, OP, you can't be too safe for this type of situation, and I say this as a school nurse. You do not think it's extremely creepy that your brother sleeps with a woman who pretends to be your 3-year-old daughter? Maybe you need to keep them both away from your kids. Please warn everyone about this, especially people with small kids. It's better to hurt an adult's feelings than it is to fail to protect a child. I do think they did something in your daughter's room. You should wash and check everything. You are 100% correct. She's faking this. Either she has mental illness other than DID, or most likely she's faking for attention because it's the latest fad. Probably spends way too much time on TikTok. Your brother is enabling this. What's worse is he is in a romantic and sexual relationship with a woman who pretends to be his 3-year-old niece. His 3-year-old niece. He sees his girlfriend pretending to be his baby niece and is okay with banging her. Even if he doesn't do it while she's faking, he's still seen her acting as this little girl and continues to be intimate with her. If he doesn't see that as a problem, that's a massive red flag in itself. Honestly, keep your kids away from her, and possibly him too while he's with her. That's what stood out to me too. A lot of these DID people use their little altars as a fetish thing. I'd keep him away from the kids forever. This is such a huge red flag for him. Remember last year, the girl who found out her parents' kink was the mom pretending to be her. Now for the final update. This is probably going to be my last update because we have since cut off all contact with her and my brother and are in contact with the police. She refused to get inpatient psychiatric help willingly, but her family put her under a 5150. Long story short, she approached our child while she was at a park with a nanny. Luckily, the nanny knows about the situation and removed our daughter immediately, contacted the police, and then contacted us. She tried to tell our nanny that we had told her to pick up our daughter and take her to her grandmother's house. She waited until it was close to the end of our nanny's shift to make it more believable. Luckily, the nanny didn't even engage with her. She just picked up our daughter and walked away, recording the entire incident to have proof. She ran after the nanny, telling our daughter, "Go ahead, Evelyn. Tell her you know me. We're going to go to Grandma's." Her family told us that there has never been any abuse in the family. She has never claimed to them that she has DID, though they have long suspected she has histrionic personality disorder. My brother has not contacted us since this happened, but my wife doesn't want contact with him anyway, and I agree with her. Again, thanks for all of your advice and well wishes. Though she's never allowed around my family again, I'm incredibly happy she's getting the help she needs, and hope her recovery and treatment go well for her, and I wish her the best. Freaking shivers. God bless that nanny. We're very thankful for her, and incredibly proud that she reacted the way she did. Definitely keep a vigilant eye, and never allow that woman around your daughter again, ever. Your brother's choice of women is definitely off, and wouldn't trust him again either. Wait, what? Your alter cannot be another actual person. That's nuts. You don't have DID unless you are diagnosed. You have a great nanny who knows what she is doing. I think the histrionic personality disorder is spot on. It's based around needing to be constantly the center of attention and faking regression or a child alter and needing to be taken care of because you're sick sounds like an extreme but plausible presentation of that. There have been a few posts like this where people basically romanticize certain mental illnesses online, calling all mental health care and therapies as ableist. I remember one not too long ago where a girl's young sister was aggressively flirting with her BF, making both of them uncomfortable before claiming she had an alter of her sister making her do it. Mentally unwell people are unpredictable. Time for cameras, restraining orders, and a way to defend yourself, and a way for the nanny to do so as well. We have cameras and have installed more after the first incident on the perimeter of our property, as well as outside of our children's room. We're in the process of getting a restraining order, though it doesn't seem likely she'll be leaving the inpatient facility anytime soon. Don't trust that. They push people through those places quickly, and mentally ill people like that rarely stay on their meds. Last story. A friend 25 female thinks she's pregnant, but I 25 female don't believe she is, and I don't know how to handle this as a good friend. One of my best friends has been trying for a baby for years. She sadly has had 3 losses along the way, but she wants a child so badly. I feel worried for her because I'm afraid she may be convincing herself she's pregnant when she's not. A few months ago, she told me she was pregnant, but when she went for her first appointment, the doctor told her she wasn't ever actually pregnant. She ended up very upset. She felt like she had a miscarriage and was upset that the doctors weren't acknowledging that or taking her seriously. I wasn't sure about it, but I just want the best for her and was hoping that she would someday get the baby her and her husband, 28 male, have been wishing for. Now to the current situation. I'm currently pregnant with my first child. I found out just over a month ago, and the day after I told her the news, she told me that she took a test and was also pregnant. I immediately had my doubts, but I was hoping that she would get the baby she wants this time. She showed me a picture of her pregnancy test, but I didn't see a positive line at all. To me, it looked like a negative. She also told me that she just ended her period, so it didn't make sense to me that she could be pregnant yet. But I didn't want to confront her because I know it's a sensitive subject. Fast forward to yesterday. She told me she saw a doctor and they said she wasn't pregnant after all, as I suspected. But then she called me again today and said she didn't believe the doctor, so she decided to take another test and that she's pregnant. She showed me the test and once again there's no double line. It looked completely negative to me. I told her I didn't see a line and she said it just wasn't showing up because of her camera. She said she's planning on having this huge surprise for her husband, which I empathize with because I'm sure at this point he may be having a hard time with this emotionally. I feel like my friend is getting her hopes up, but after the losses she's had, I don't want to be a bad friend by telling her she's wrong or congratulate her for something I don't believe is true. I don't know how to respond when she talks about how excited she is. Any advice on how I should handle this while not overstepping and still being thoughtful of her feelings? Thanks for reading the long post if you did. Now for the advice. I wouldn't argue with her, but I think you really need to talk to her husband because she seems to be a little out of touch with reality, and there's a chance that he doesn't know about that since she's planning surprises to tell him, so he might not know about the positive tests. Yes, and she should also talk to the husband about the pregnancy tests. I am certain that OP's friend sees the line that is supposed to get colored because it is made of a different material to the rest. It is sometimes visible on the tests even when they are not positive, but just wet from the urine seeping in. This also happens if you leave them too long and then look at the results. And if you test on a day of your missed period, it should really be quite a strong line already. It sounds like she's having some kind of mental health crisis causing this delusion. I'd encourage her to see a therapist to work through her frustration/sadness. A professional will pick up on this stuff. Else, I think you just roll with it. Hopefully her husband will direct her towards therapy. I agree with this. It sounds like she's experiencing a significant delusion and truly fully believes that those tests are positive despite the reality. She needs help, OP. I think a good first step is talking to her husband. Delusions are a difficult situation, and people react dramatically to having their delusions shattered. Same, I knew a woman from a group on social media who announced her pregnancy right after I did. Her pregnancy updates became increasingly unhinged. At 11 months later, she had still not given birth. It was obvious that she had either miscarried early on or was never pregnant in the first place. We didn't know what to do. It was awful.